Okay, so now that we have practiced finding equivalent fractions, we're now going to look at a set of fractions and determine what a common denominator could be for each set of fractions. So the way that we do this is we look for a common multiple for the denominators. So remember, the denominators are the bottom number of a fraction. This tells us the whole amount when thinking about fractions. Okay? We cannot add or subtract fractions if the denominators are different. So remember, we're trying to get to where we can add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators. Alright, so we're going to look for a common multiple by listing the multiples out for both 5 and 3, and then we're going to look for a multiple that they have that's the same. Okay, so looking at what we have here, I see that they share or have a common multiple of 15. Now your workbook doesn't have you adding them just yet, but let's make this an addition problem. We have 2/5 plus 2/3. So I'm going to change this to a plus. Okay. And the first thing we're going to do when adding fractions with unlike denominators is look for a multiple that could be a common denominator for them. Once we have our common multiple, we're going to write an equivalent fraction for each that has the common multiple as the denominator. So remember, we said 15 was the common denominator, so I'm setting both fractions equal to a fraction where 15 is the denominator. Okay. I know that 5 times 3 is 15, and so in order to make sure that this is an equivalent fraction, I have to also multiply the numerator by 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So 2/5 is the same as 6/15. I'm going to do the same thing with this second fraction. How do I get from 3 to 15? Well, I know 3 times 5 is 15. Now I will have to multiply the numerator by 5 as well, and 2 times 5 is 10. So 10/15 has the same value as 2/3. Now that we have equivalent fractions with the same denominator, we can add the numerators or subtract. It's the same process. So we can add the numerators of the equivalent fractions. Okay, so remember, I'm not going to write 2/5, I'm going to write 6/15. Okay. And I'm not going to write 2/3, I'm going to write 10/15. Now to add, remember I add the numerators, so it's 16, 10, 6 plus 10, but I need to keep the denominator the same. So the denominator is 15, so in the sum or difference, in this case the sum, the denominator is 15. So 2/5 plus 2/3 is equal to 16/15, or 1 1/15. Okay. So the one thing I do want you to be careful about is that this is not multiplication. So in this case, our denominator does not change. It has to stay the same when we're adding. Okay, it's not multiplication. All right, so now you're going to continue working in your workbook and complete this task.